I'll never forget the feeling in my chest the moment I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home. It was like time had frozen, and yet everything had changed. The grass was a little overgrown, the mailbox still leaned to one side, and the old porch light flickered like it always did. But what used to be home now felt like a memory I was walking through. My dad was gone. He had passed away 2 days earlier after a long fight with cancer. They said he went peacefully in his sleep. I wasn't there. I had been on a plane for work when I got the call. A voicemail. Just the sound of a nurse's voice saying, "I'm sorry." And then silence. I walked into the house carrying nothing but my backpack and a heart full of regret. It was quiet inside. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the only person left in the world. Everything looked the same. His favorite recliner sat in the corner by the window, his reading glasses resting on the side table. A blanket, still folded the way he liked it. He'd been gone 2 days, but it looked like he had just stepped out to get the mail. That's when I saw her, a woman standing in the kitchen, middle-aged, medium brown skin, soft features, wearing pale blue scrubs and simple sneakers. Her hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and she moved slowly, wiping the counter with a rag like she wasn't really thinking about it. "You must be the nurse," I said almost flatly. She looked up and gave me a gentle nod. "Yes, I'm Clara." I didn't ask anything else. I didn't feel like talking. My emotions were all tangled up: sadness, anger, guilt, especially guilt. I hadn't been around much. I had always told myself I'd visit more when things settled down. But things never really settle, do they? "I'm sorry for your loss," she said quietly. I nodded. "Thank you." She offered me tea. I shook my head. I didn't want tea. I didn't want comfort. I wanted answers I'd never get. I wanted time back. I wanted one more conversation, one more laugh, one more chance to say, "I love you." Instead, I wandered through the house, like a ghost, stopping at framed photos on the walls. Me as a kid, standing next to my dad at my graduation. Us fishing in the summer. My mom, long gone. I had forgotten how many memories this place held. In his bedroom, I found a wooden box on his nightstand. Inside were small treasures: his wedding ring, a faded photo of him and my mom, a pocket watch, and an envelope with my name written on it. His handwriting was shaky, but still familiar. I sat down on the edge of the bed and opened the letter. "My son, if you're reading this, I've already passed on. I hope you'll forgive me for leaving things unsaid. You know I wasn't always good at talking about my feelings. But I want to say this now, even if I couldn't find the words before. You've grown into a man I'm proud of. Even if I didn't always say it, I saw the strength in you, the heart. You did good, son. I love you. But there's something else you need to know. Something important. Clara, she's not just the nurse. She came into my life when everything felt empty. After your mother passed, I shut everyone out. I was angry at the world, at God, at myself. I didn't believe I deserved to feel anything good again. And then Clara came along. At first, she was just helping around the house, taking care of the medical things, checking my vitals. But over time, she started to do more. She stayed when I was impossible to deal with. She listened when I didn't even have the strength to talk. She brought peace into this house again. We didn't make it official. There were no big declarations, no wedding rings. But in my heart, she was family. She gave me love in quiet ways, folding my laundry, bringing me soup, praying beside me when I couldn't sleep. She reminded me that even in pain, love can still exist. I know you didn't know her well, maybe not at all, but I'm asking you, as your father, to treat her with kindness. She didn't do any of this for money. She stayed because she cared. She stayed because she loved me. Please see her the way I did. Not as just a nurse, but as the person who carried me through my darkest days. Be good to her. It would mean everything to me. Love always, Dad. When I finished reading, the letter shook in my hands. My eyes were hot with tears and my throat burned from holding back the sobs. I had walked in thinking she was just the help, just someone paid to be there. But I had been so wrong. I turned and saw Clara standing in the doorway. Her eyes were wet, too. I don't know how long she'd been there. Maybe she already knew what, the letter said. Maybe she had helped him write it. I stood up slowly. The air between us was heavy with something unspoken. I didn't know, I said quietly. She nodded. He didn't want to burden you. I looked down at the letter. Then, back at her. Thank you, I said, for staying, for loving him. A small smile crossed her lips. He was a good man, stubborn, but good. I chuckled through my tears. Yeah, that he was. Without really thinking, I stepped forward and hugged her. It was hesitant at first. My arms moved slowly, unsure if she'd welcome the gesture. But before I could second-guess myself, she stepped in too, wrapping her arms around me like she had been waiting for this. Not just today, but maybe for a long time. She held me like a mother holds a child who's finally let himself fall apart. And I did. Not all at once, but piece by piece. My chin dropped to her shoulder, and I felt the weight I'd been carrying begin to shift. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her arms were steady. Her breath was calm. Her presence said everything my father had written in that letter, and more. It felt strange for a moment, like hugging someone from a life I didn't fully understand. But then something deeper settled in. It felt right, safe, familiar in some quiet way. Like a thread had been pulled between us, a thread my father left behind, tying us together. I don't know how long we stood there. Maybe a minute, maybe 5. Time didn't matter. The house around us felt still, like it was holding its breath. Outside, the rain kept falling, tapping gently against the windows like a soft reminder that life was still moving, even in the middle of grief. The house smelled like old memories, coffee and cedarwood, and something warm I couldn't name. I noticed the quiet hum of the fridge, the creak of the floorboard beneath us. I noticed her heartbeat, slow and steady against mine. When we finally pulled apart, her eyes searched mine, not for words, but for understanding. And I gave her that. A silent thank you, a shared ache, a new kind of connection. She wasn't just the nurse. She was the one who sat with my father when the nights got long and the pain became unbearable. The one who whispered prayers when his own voice was too weak to speak. The one who made him feel like a person, not just a patient. She was the one who stayed after the doctors left, after the visitors stopped coming, after the world went quiet. She was the light he held on to when everything else dimmed, and somehow she had done the same for me, just now, in that moment. When I didn't even realize I needed it, I looked at her again, and this time I really saw her, not as the woman in scrubs, not as the caretaker, not as the hired help, but as someone who had loved and been loved deeply, someone who had given part of her soul to my father when he needed it most, someone who had earned her place in this house, in this story, in this goodbye. And now I saw her, truly.